It was the kind of goodbye that didn't need words to hurt. Christine stepped out the door, leaving behind not just a house or a marriage, but years of trying to belong to something that never truly made room for her. And Janelle. She stood there still and quiet, pretending she was okay. But if you watched closely, if you looked past the steady tone and the brave face, you could see it. The way her mouth tightened, the way her eyes shimmered, that was grief. Not for a man, but for a bond, the only real one she had left in that so called family. Hi, friends. I'm Oliva, and welcome back to TLC's Sister Wives Secret. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. I want to know how you felt watching that scene, because for me, that moment between Janelle and Christine said everything this family won't admit out loud. There's something haunting about watching a woman say goodbye to the only person who ever truly saw her. Christine walking away wasn't just a personal choice, it was a spotlight on everything that had gone wrong for years. The sisterhood was supposed to be the safety net, right? That's what polygamy promised: unity, support, spiritual strength. But what we saw in that goodbye was something else: exhaustion, betrayal, and the realization that the so called family had stopped being a family a long time ago. The silence in that room was louder than any of Kody's speeches. And when the camera caught Janelle's face, that flicker of pain before she shoved it down, it was like watching someone lose their last safe place. Because if Christine could leave, what was left for Janelle? This isn't just drama for TV. This is what happens when love becomes a transaction, when loyalty is one-sided, and when a religious structure designed to elevate women ends up emotionally starving them. And trust me, what happened in that moment? That was just the beginning. When you go back to the beginning, it's easy to assume all the wives entered this plural marriage on equal footing, that they chose it together with shared beliefs and clear eyes. But the truth, that foundation was already cracked from the start. Because while the structure looked like unity on the outside, inside, each wife came in through a completely different door. Meri was the first, the legal wife. She was young, idealistic, and raised to believe this life was her spiritual calling. For Meri, polygamy wasn't just an option. It was the only road she saw. She grew up in the faith, in that culture. Saying yes to Kody meant saying yes to God. She was told that her worth, her purpose, even her place in eternity depended on being part of a plural family. So, when Kody brought Janelle in, she accepted it, on the surface. But let's be real. From the very beginning, there were signs Meri never fully felt safe in that dynamic. And who could blame her? Then came Janelle, and she was different. She didn't grow up in this. She wasn't brainwashed into it. Janelle actually chose plural marriage as an adult from a place of independence. Her own mother had even married into Kody's family, which made things even more tangled. But Janelle believed in the principle. She thought this lifestyle could be empowering, that sisterhood could offer something traditional marriage didn't. In early seasons, she was practical, detached, focused on raising kids and building something sustainable. But over time, that emotional distance wasn't protection. It became isolation. Christine, on the other hand, was raised deep in the culture. This was never a question for her. Plural marriage was a rule, not a choice. She was taught that being the third wife was a privilege, almost an honor. That her service, her smile, her ability to bear children and hold the family together, that was how she'd earn her place in heaven. Christine came in hopeful. She truly wanted the fairy tale. And for a while, she tried to force it to work. She cooked the meals, she raised the kids, she put herself second, and third, and last, until the day she couldn't anymore. And then years later, Robyn arrived. A single mom, new to the group but quickly made the center of it. Kody didn't ease her in. He fell for her in a way he never did for the others. And suddenly, all the rules they used to follow, they didn't apply anymore. The wives had waited decades for affection, for validation, for even a few hours of Kody's time. Robyn got it all: the legal marriage, the honeymoon phase, the house, the constant attention. And that's when everything shifted. Favoritism didn't just sneak in, it exploded onto the screen. Kody started treating Robyn like his one true partner, while the others became support staff. Christine could feel it. Janelle saw it. And Meri, she pretended not to, but the distance in her eyes told another story. This wasn't just about love. This was the beginning of emotional abandonment, packaged as God's plan. There's a moment in the show that doesn't just hint at favoritism, it flat out confirms it. It's the scene where Kody, mid argument, turns to Robyn and suddenly blurts out something so revealing, it hits like a slap. This is the agreement you required of me in order to get married, that if I ever stop loving you, I won't stay in a pathetic relationship with you. Let that sink in. Kody's telling us on camera that before he and Robyn even tied the knot, she made him promise something none of the other wives were ever offered: a love clause, a safeguard, an exit plan in case he didn't feel in love anymore. And the way he delivered it? Frustrated, defensive, like it had been simmering under the surface for years. Now think about that. Robyn walked into this marriage with eyes wide open. She knew exactly what the emotional state of the family was: fractured, tired, weighed down by years of spiritual duty. So she didn't just join a plural family blindly. She negotiated her place, and she did it by making sure she'd never have to live the life Meri, Janelle, and Christine were stuck in. While the other wives were giving up their youth, their finances, their emotional well-being just to keep the structure afloat, Robyn made sure her relationship with Kody came with protections. That agreement wasn't about love. It was a shield against the very life the others were already living. And Kody, he didn't just accept it, he honored it. He gave Robyn a covenant while the others got conditions. And you can see how that promise shaped everything that came after. Robyn became the emotional priority, the financial beneficiary, the legal wife. She got the $1 million house, the wedding ring, the affection in front of the cameras, while Christine got distance, while Janelle got brushed off, while Meri got forgotten. It's not just about Kody loving Robyn more, it's about how he changed the entire playbook for her. He didn't give the original wives a choice. He expected them to stay loyal, obedient, grateful, no matter how little they received in return. But with Robyn, he built the marriage around her comfort. He carved out a separate set of rules. And that agreement, that so-called covenant, is the smoking gun. It proves that from day one, Robyn was never just another wife. She was the exception, the favorite, the one Kody protected. The others were left to figure out where they stood, if they stood anywhere at all. When Christine finally walked away, it wasn't just a breakup. It was a woman quietly walking out of a house she helped build, brick by brick, without taking a single thing she deserved. And Janelle? She stayed behind in what looked like strength, but it was really survival. Because by the time the emotional betrayal settled in, the financial control had already sealed their fate. And Kody? He made sure the lines were drawn long before anyone realized they were trapped. Let's talk about Coyote Pass. This was supposed to be the family's big dream. Land they all owned together, to build homes side by side, unified. But what started as a shared vision turned into a power grab. The property was split unevenly. Robyn ended up with the largest, most buildable lot, secured early with help from a down payment funded, in part, by the collective family pot. And that pot? Janelle and Christine both contributed to it for years. Financially, emotionally, spiritually. They helped buy homes, feed kids, and hold the entire structure together. But when it came time to divide actual assets, suddenly they were told there wasn't enough. Janelle invested her own hard-earned income into that land. She sold her Vegas home and poured that equity straight into Coyote Pass. What does she have now? A trailer, a few frozen acres, and nothing with her name on it. She couldn't even secure utilities on the land she partially paid for. The woman who managed the family finances for years now has nothing to show for it. While Kody and Robyn live in a fully furnished, fully funded house with plenty of breathing room, and then there's Christine. She gave up decades of unpaid emotional labor, raised kids, held Kody up when he barely looked her way. When she left, she had to fight just to sell her share of the Vegas house. And that plot of land in Coyote Pass? Surprise. Kody and Robyn's names were on it too. She had to negotiate just to get out clean, while Robyn never had to negotiate anything at all. Meri, perhaps the most tragic in all this, gave up her Vegas equity to help Robyn buy her Flagstaff house. That's right. Meri put money into a home she would never live in, a home she wasn't even invited to. And in return, she got no stake, no appreciation, and no emotional support. Just a pat on the head and a quiet nudge further out the door. Her role became less of a wife and more of a memory, tolerated on screen but dismissed off camera. This isn't just favoritism, it's financial sabotage. Kody consolidated power, not by force, but through neglect. He let the women pour everything in, then slowly, piece by piece, removed them from ownership. Emotionally abandoned, legally powerless. Christine, Janelle, and Meri gave more than their share, and walked away with less than nothing. Robyn got the security, the house, the affection, the assets, all under the illusion that this was about love, when really it was always about control. The most cruel thing wasn't the divorce or the blatant rejection. No, the worst part was the slow fade. Being forgotten. Being left to exist in the periphery like you didn't even matter. And it wasn't even as dramatic as a big, ugly breakup. It was subtle, quiet, and it stretched out over months and years until one day you realize you've been erased from the story entirely. That's what happened to Meri and Janelle. Slowly, quietly, until they were nothing more than placeholders in a marriage that had long moved on. For Meri, the tragedy goes back to her inability to have children. She was never fully accepted for who she was. It was used against her, a source of quiet judgment. In a family that's supposed to be built on spiritual love and understanding, her infertility was the silent weight around her neck. Kody's preference for fertile wives like Christine and Janelle pushed Meri further and further into isolation. She became an afterthought, not just emotionally, but in every way. While she had once been the first wife, the foundation of the family, Meri was relegated to the sidelines, barely acknowledged by Kody, and soon by everyone. Janelle's fate wasn't much different. She stuck around for years hoping for change, believing in the family dynamic, in the love they had once promised. But as the years went on, it became clear Kody's love was no longer distributed equally. He wasn't just emotionally absent, he was physically absent. Janelle's role, once so central to the family, started to wither as Robyn's place became cemented. The worst part? Janelle never got a formal rejection. She never got a clean break. Instead, she was left to linger, trying to hold together a family that no longer existed, all while Kody and Robyn flourished in their emotional cocoon. For both Meri and Janelle, being forgotten was worse than any divorce. It wasn't just that Kody moved on, it was that he did so without ever telling them they were no longer needed. They were simply pushed out of the picture, their importance erased from Kody's life without fanfare. And that kind of neglect, it's a special kind of cruelty. It's the kind that leaves scars that never fully heal, because you're never given the dignity of closure. You're just quietly discarded while the world moves on without you. It's the kind of betrayal that doesn't need a dramatic exit. It just needs quiet, constant neglect. And that, in the end, is what really broke these women. When it comes to the fallout from this mess, it's not just the wives who are left picking up the pieces. The children of this family have borne the brunt of the emotional manipulation and the inequality that permeated every level of their lives. What makes it even harder to swallow is that the favoritism, the emotional abandonment, and the financial sabotage didn't just stop at the wives. It trickled down to the kids as well. Some were given everything, while others were left to struggle in the shadows. Let's talk about how Kody's actions have affected his children. You see, Robyn's kids have always been at the center of his attention. In every episode, you can see it. Kody's all about the Browns that came into the family through Robyn. He's there for them, making sure they feel loved and supported. But what about the kids from Christine, Janelle, and Meri? You don't hear a lot of warmth, do you? It's like they've become second-tier children in Kody's eyes. Christine's kids, in particular, have been left out of so much. Kody seems to be emotionally checked out when it comes to them. Even in situations where they needed their father, it was clear that Kody wasn't the parent they could count on. And then, there's Janelle's children. Even though they've grown up in the family for years, the divide is palpable. The favoritism not only cut into their relationship with Kody, but it affected their relationships with each other. You can see it in their faces, that sense of abandonment, the feeling that they're not as valued as Robin's children, or even the children of Christine and Kody's earlier years. The unequal treatment has caused rifts that will echo through their lives. But the damage isn't just emotional, it's financial too. When you look at the resources that were allocated to the kids, it's clear there's a massive disparity. Robin's children seem to get more than the others, whether it's attention, gifts, or opportunities. The others, though, Christine's departure wasn't the final blow to the Brown family. It was the truth breaking through the surface. For years, the cracks were there, hidden beneath the weight of patriarchal control and emotional manipulation. But when Christine walked away, it was like the dam broke, and everything the family had been pretending to be was exposed for what it truly was: a facade built on favoritism, inequality, and emotional abandonment. Her decision to leave wasn't just about her. It was a moment of liberation for all the women who had been pushed aside, ignored, and made to feel less than. It was the moment when Christine chose herself, and in doing so, she gave a voice to the truth that had been silenced for far too long. The emotional cost of patriarchal control is steep. It robs you of your sense of self, your worth, and your freedom. And when you're constantly gaslighted into believing that you're lucky to be in this kind of system, you lose sight of who you are. But Christine's journey is a reminder that there's always a way out. And for viewers, it's a call to action, to root for the truth, to fight for justice, and to break free from toxic systems that control, manipulate, and harm. So let's honor the women who have chosen to break free, who found the courage to expose the lies, and who stand as beacons of hope for anyone still caught in the chains of an oppressive system. Don't forget to share your thoughts below. How do you feel about Christine's departure, and what does it mean for the future of the family? Let's talk about it.